I'll never forget the day we got the keys to this house. My older son hugged me so tight and he started crying. He kept on saying, "Mommy, thank you so much for doing this for us." Honestly, I started to cry too, because the journey to that moment was one of the hardest things I've ever done and one of the bravest. But this video is not about me, it is about you, especially if you're in a season of starting over. If you have recently left a situation that was breaking you and you're wondering how to rebuild your life back from scratch, I promise you, you can. In this video, I am going to share how I went from living in a tiny box room with 2 boys to creating a stable, peaceful home and completely transforming my life. I would also be sharing strategies that I used to survive and save when money was tight, manage my kids' emotions through all of the changes, and how having trained as a chartered accountant and retraining as a project management professional became my saving grace when it was time to rebuild. And if you stick with me till the end, I will share with you one mindset shift that made all the difference for me on this journey and that I believe can change your life too. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, let's dive right in. The day I finally left my marriage, I had no idea what was waiting for me on the other side of the journey. What I did know at the time was that I could not continue to stay. Sadly, I was leaving behind everything that was familiar, everything that I felt was convenient. But in exchange for that, I was choosing peace, I was choosing safety, and I was choosing hope. Because before that time, I was at the point where I was feeling very hopeless. Trying to get a place in the new city was very difficult because a lot of people didn't want to give a room in their house to a single mom with 2 children, which made it very difficult to find a place. Eventually, we ended up at my friend's house, just me and the boys, in a tiny box room. It was cramped, we didn't have much because I had put a lot of our things in storage, but for the very first time in a long time, I could sleep without fear. My takeaway for you on this is this: if you're living a difficult situation, your first priority should be safety and stability, not perfection. So take whatever help that is offered, because temporary discomfort is better than permanent pain. After we got the place, there were some critical decisions I had to make. Number 1 was choosing flexibility over prestige. I knew I needed a job that would allow me to balance school runs and childcare, so I focused on finding only flexible jobs that would allow me to do this at the time, even if they weren't my dream job. Secondly, I decided to stay silent for clarity's sake. I mentioned in this video here why I kept quiet about the breakup for so long. One of the major reasons was the fact that I needed clarity to navigate this new season. I only told my parents and 2 close friends about the detail of the situation because I needed peace and clear-headedness to make the right decisions without any external noise or pressure. I mean, my life was already pressured enough. Third critical decision I had to make in this season was keeping communication with my ex strictly about the children. This boundary was essential to protect my peace, my mental health, and my emotional well-being. I mean, I was already dealing with so much. Living in that box room in my friend's house meant we had to be creative because privacy was almost non-existent. So I kept everything we needed inside the room and set boundaries around shared kitchen to avoid any kind of conflict or mix-up. After a while, the bed got too cramped and my older son started complaining of body pain from the discomfort of the fact that 3 of us were sleeping on that one small bed. I then decided to move into the lounge of the house to allow him and his brother have the bed to at least give them a little bit of comfort in the moment. It wasn't ideal for me because the house was an old house that had draft under the door, but it was what I had to do in the moment to make my children comfortable. Financially, I was doing whatever flexible job I could find at the time because I knew I needed a job that would allow me to balance school runs and childcare. So I focused on only finding flexible roles at the time, even though they weren't my dream job. And because rent was low, I was able to save at least 50% of the income I was making from this flexible job. Money saving tips. Using community resources such as Community Ladder for discounted groceries will help you save some money. Secondly, buying food in bulk and splitting it with friends would help your money go further. For example, at the time, I used to go to Tesco with my friends and then we'll buy stuff in bulk and share it, which was better than buying these things individual quantity from the supermarket. Third money saving tip, embrace local affordable food and let go of expensive habits. African food stuff and eating out takeaways was a luxury I had to put a big pause on. Finally, shop second-hand. Facebook Marketplace, Vinted, eBay became my favorite places to shop for things. The takeaway from this is this: cut your cost aggressively, but be very strategic, because every single penny you are able to save moves you closer to your freedom and eventual comfort. So how I parented through the transition and kept the kids grounded. One of my biggest worries when I was leaving home was how the change was going to affect my boys. But honestly, kids take their cues from us. So as much as possible, I made sure to keep the atmosphere light and hopeful. Because we moved during summer holidays, we spent a lot of our times exploring parks and taking advantage of free government-funded activities such as the HAF activities. This kept the boys really engaged because we were going from one activity and free event to another. So I didn't have to worry to think about how I was going to entertain them during that summer break. When school resumed, we focused on building new routines that made the boys feel secure, even in the uncertainty. I had honest and age-appropriate conversations with them about why we were in the situation that we were in, and I reminded them that it was temporary. Together, we found joy in the little things: movie nights, long walks, and laughter. The takeaway from this is that you do not need money to create beautiful memories. Presence, patience, and creativity go a long way in helping your kids to adjust. So think creatively. The transition, which includes saving, searching, and securing our new home. After a couple of months, it became clear that we couldn't continue to stay in my friend's tiny box room. My boys needed space, my older son was complaining of body pain, and we couldn't manage the space anymore. Also, I needed peace, and thanks to the savings I had built from all of the work that I was doing, I was finally ready to start house hunting. Regarding house hunting, I'll be honest, it wasn't easy because I was constantly getting rejected due to affordability criteria. Viewings were also tough to juggle with work and school run, and I nearly fell for a few scams on Facebook Marketplace. Something I talk more in this video here about how to find a home in the UK without getting scammed. You definitely want to watch this video before you start house hunting. But eventually, after all of the rejection, we found our current home. And when we moved in, the joy was indescribable. Rebuilding from scratch and making our house a home. For a while after we moved into our house, all we had was a single sofa which turned into a bed at night, which I bought from Facebook Marketplace. And that's what we slept on until I could afford beds. Slowly, I furnished our home with pre-loved items from vintage shop, charity shops, Facebook Marketplace, and created a totally beautiful warm space on a budget, which I shared in this video here on how to furnish your home on a budget. The saving grace, retraining and reinvention. One of the best decisions I made while planning my exit was to retrain as a project management professional and to also revive my membership as an ACCA chartered accountant. I didn't know it then, but these qualifications became my lifeline when it came to rebuilding my life. Once we were settled, I started to apply for either project management or chartered accountant roles or a combination of both. Eventually, I landed a role and it completely changed my life. If you're watching this video right now and you are thinking of starting over, my advice for you is to invest in skills that would increase your earning potential or give you one if you didn't have one before. It makes all the difference when you are rebuilding your life. Because after all, once you can earn, you're able to sustain your life, sustain yourself, sustain your children, and all the other bits and pieces that you need to rebuild your life, you can afford it. So you want to build a skill that is monetizable, whatever that is or whatever that looks like for you in this season. Let that be the number one priority on your exit plan, because one of the reasons that a lot of women remain in harmful and toxic relationships for way too long is the fact that they do not have the earning power to support themselves when they leave. I mentioned in this video here that it took me a year plus to execute my decision about leaving. Part of the preparation to exit was making sure that I had retrained. I had also revived my certification in order to be employable when I eventually leave. So put that as the number one survival item on your exit plan. If you're in a season of starting over, I want you to hear this. This is temporary. It may feel overwhelming right now, but one day you will look back at this season and be so proud of how far you've come. Take it one day at a time, save what you can, do whatever job you can do at the moment that puts food on your table. While you are doing that, build new skill, retrain if you have to, and protect your peace at all costs. And hey, if you found this video useful, don't forget to give it a like, share it with somebody who needs it, and subscribe. I've got so much more coming and you don't want to miss out on that. So make sure you subscribe and turn on notification so you don't miss a bit. If you would like to reach out to me, my email will be somewhere in the description box down below. Or if you prefer social media, I am at TJ-jonah on all social media platforms, especially Instagram. I respond to my DMs myself. Feel free, send me a message. Let's connect. I love to hear from you guys. I love to hear what you think. I love to also know how these videos are helping you. And I also love to hear your suggestions so that I know the next set of videos you would want me to film. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in my next one. Bye everyone.